whistleboards, hedgerows, and lots more on another episode of Track Talk. Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome back to Donnington Castle Model Railway and another episode of Track Talk. As usual, we've got a lot of topics to cover in a short space of time. So we're going to look today at making some whistleboards for the Heritage Line. I'll talk about some of the plans for the car park area. I'm going to show you how I built a hedgerow with a large amount of help from a video from bitesize scenics. And also our usual YouTube spotlight and a note about Key Model Live, I think it's called, or the Key Model Show Live. But all that to come. Let's get on with our first topic, building some whistleboards for the Heritage Line. So I figured we needed a whistleboard in front of the tunnel, but I wasn't sure what kind that would be. So I've come onto the railsigns.uk website to have a look. And in the whistleboards section, we can see all of the different whistle signs that have been used over the years. Now, what I'm going for is, because our Heritage Line is based in the kind of the Great Western region, or the Western region, I was going to go for one of these whistleboards here. Obviously not used anymore, but I'm thinking that as a heritage railway, maybe as a kind of a leftover from before the line closed or newly installed by the volunteers, we'd go for this kind. And so I've gone for the black text on a white background. So we'll get the design for this onto the laser cutter, we'll get it cut and then painted. But first stage is going to be looking at the settings in Lightburn. Here we are in the speed signs file I have on Lightburn. And you can see I've got our sound whistle boards. In here, they'll be cut onto 2mm basswood. The reason I need to be a little bit thicker than I am for example, these speed restriction signs is that we need to etch into them, and obviously we need enough material there to be able to give enough relief. Now I'm using a feature in Lightburn called fill mode. Unfortunately, the capture software I have won't show pop-ups inside Lightburn for some reason, so you won't be able to see the kind of the motion that the laser will take. But effectively what it will do in this area I've got marked for fill is the laser will scan backwards and forwards in effect in etch mode, and therefore will kind of remove material. And so what you'll be left with is a raised border and then these raised letters here, and then it'll obviously cut round to leave us with the sign itself. So I'm going to do that. The one downside to doing these kind of signs using this technique is that you will get quite a rough surface in behind here. It's not going to leave it completely smooth, and certainly not as smooth as vacuum formed plastic, and not as smooth even as 3D printing. So you do need to bear that in mind when you consider what technique you're going to use for this kind of stuff. But I will get those cut and painted, and then I'll come back and show you what I've done. And this is what they look like all painted up. You might just be able to make out that the kind of the background of the sign is quite rough due to the technique of the laser cutter kind of etching that out. But from my perspective, these were free to make from offcuts, and you're not going to notice that detail on the layout, I don't think. So I think these are good to put in place. I'm going to be putting these in on the approaches to the bridges and the tunnels. Hopefully that is a good place for that to be. Not too far ahead of the tunnel, but also a reasonable bit of visibility for the driver as they come along there. So let's see it in operation. Okay, now moving on to the car park area. Now, a lot of you will have watched the landscaping video. If not, I'll put a link to it up there. And in that, I created an area of hard standing and asked for some ideas around what to put there. Now, I've taken a few of those ideas and kind of developed them a little bit. And so I'll talk through what the plans are for that area. So let's talk about plans for this area. I haven't touched it since I made the video on this. But I got some interesting comments, so thank you for those. And I've kind of made a bit of a decision that how I'm going to divide this area up. So we're going to have the road coming in here. Then kind of this area here is going to be then a car park. So I'll mark out some car park spaces once the surface has been sorted out. And I'm thinking about some kind of maintenance facility here. So kind of some kind of storage full of cable drums and other kind of railway bits and pieces. Some security fencing around the edge and around the edge of this bit here. And then down in this little bit here, some kind of scrapyard. Now, obviously, the most famous model scrapyard is probably Richard's from Everard Junction, and I'm not going to go to that kind of length to put a scrapyard in here. And also, that's not really the kind of vibe I'm going for. What I might do is kind of go for something very small, where there's kind of a few kind of bits and pieces of metal kind of passing through this yard. Maybe even a little hole in the fence where some of the materials are being acquired from somewhere they shouldn't be. So I might try and have a little bit of fun with that. So probably, the security fencing will come kind of round here somehow. Maybe some gates to allow access out onto the railway for the workers and kind of into here. And then maybe some kind of corrugated sheeting as kind of walling around this little scrapyard with obviously a little entranceway and a sign above that. But we'll see kind of how that all works out. Next, I'm going to show you how I built a hedgerow up by that car park area. I'm not going to show you in any detail. There is a fantastic video from Dartside Scenics, which I will leave a link to up there, which effectively is what I followed. So if you'd like to see the steps in more detail, then please do check out that video. But I will show you how I made the hedgerow for that area. And as I mentioned previously, I'm going to go for a native hedgerow right away along here just to give a very nice border. The first step is going to be to get some twigs in there, which are going to be the kind of the main structure for the hedge. So I will do that. I've got a few kind of twigs and branches here that I'm going to use. These have all been zapped. So yeah, I'm going to see how that kind of turns out, and I'll come back when that's done. That's the main structure for our hedgerow in place. Ignore the white bits. That's just residue from layering spray, so I'll kind of tidy it up as we go along. Next job is going to be to get some coir and to stretch that out, cover it in some scatter, and then we're going to lay that over the top of these, with these obviously being the main kind of structure of that hedgerow. But I'll come back when we're to the next step. As you can probably see, I've been back over this. So I put some soil down because obviously grass won't grow underneath the vegetation of the hedge. And in between some of the thicker twigs, I've gone in with some much finer branches. So that's all glued down now. There's a little bit of PVA still drying on some of them, but I can now go over the top of this with the vegetation, which is coir covered in scatter. So I'll be back to do that. So just so you can see the technique, I'm covering the branches in PVA and then going over the top with this coir covered in scatter. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to come back and trim that down with a pair of scissors. But I mean, that's looking okay to start with. As you can see, we need a little bit of a haircut here, but that's that hedge in place. That's looking pretty good, actually. I think once that's tidied up with a pair of scissors, then that's going to be good. I'm now going to come in the front of this with some finished moss, just to add a little bit of kind of depth to the hedge, and just to kind of add to the kind of the unkempt side of it on this side. Let me just show you what that looks like from above as well. Obviously, we need to get our track laid before we spend too much time tidying up the other side. And here is our hedgerow with a little bit of kind of undergrowth underneath there. Now, this bank still needs a little bit of attention. Still some more bushes and some trees going to go in there. But in terms of a hedgerow, I think that's in a really good place. And right on cue, a train just passing in front. Yeah, I was really impressed with the technique that I saw to be able to copy. Really like how that comes out, how that's come out. And yes, as I say, still lots of work to do in this area. And now another YouTube spotlight. I just wanted to highlight a couple of channels that I've been watching that particularly helped me with building this layout. And these two are really focused on scenics, or rather from my perspective, the things that I've kind of gained a lot from is the kind of the approach to the scenics that they use. And again, with all videos of this kind, I think it's not just about copying these things verbatim as you see on other people's channels. It's about just learning some of those techniques and thinking about when they might be able to apply to your own layout. And that's certainly what I've done from both of these. You may well be familiar with these. They're certainly quite popular channels. The first is Double O'Neill. Now, Tris has been recently building a small shunting layout, and he's gone through a lot of the steps there and has kind of gone through a lot of different techniques, particularly around kind of painting and kind of weathering and kind of building up some of the scenic areas there. So if you've not seen his channel, please do go check it out. There'll be a link up there. And the second channel is David at Horsehay Railway Modeler. Now, I don't know exactly David's circumstances and background, but certainly he talks about the challenges of having a layout in his house. And the challenges around building a layout, and often does it when he goes to visit his parents because they have some space to store his baseboards for him. So that's interesting in itself as to kind of finding creative ways to the challenges of kind of space for model railway. But in terms of scenics, there were some great videos on his channel. One decorating up a Pico viaduct, I think was particularly good in terms of the different layers he used to kind of build up the effects on the viaduct there, and something I'm going to be going back to and watching again when it comes to some of that kind of scenery on the layout here. So I'll leave a link up there. If you've not seen that channel, I certainly do recommend going and having a look. And the last topic I wanted to cover today was the Model World Live show coming up at the NEC in Birmingham here in the UK at the end of April. Now, I was planning to attend, but a great opportunity has come up, so I will most definitely be there now on the Saturday. So people who watch the channel regularly may know that I was fortunate enough to spend some time volunteering for Pete and the team on making tracks 2 and 3. Both of those were in Chester Cathedral. And I'm really thrilled that I'm going to now have the opportunity to also volunteer on the Saturday with the new Making Tracks layout. Now, that's going to be really exciting to me. Working in the cathedral on a 50-foot layout was actually pretty impressive thing to do and really exciting. So a layout on that scale is just going to be absolutely amazing. Slightly daunting in terms of operating, but we'll see how that one goes. And if you are in the NEC on the Saturday, I'm going to be on the layout between when the doors open and about 2 o'clock. So please do just shout hello at me. Depending on how full on that is, depends on how much time I'll have to talk to you then. But after 2 o'clock, I'm going to be having a look around the exhibition. And if you do want to come say hi, then please do so. And yeah, I'm really excited about being able to spend some time working with Pete, Chris, and all the team there again. And that's it for another episode of Track Talk. I hope you've enjoyed the topics we've covered today. If there are any topics you'd like to see covered in future videos, then please do drop some comments down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please consider doing so. We are really close to 1,000 subscribers as I am filming this, so that's a really exciting moment. There will be a subscribe button at the end of the video. And thank you to everyone who left comments or has spoken to me in real life about some of their requests for the special running session that I'm going to do when we hit that mark. So they've all been logged, and I've been thinking about how I'm going to do that. So hopefully something to look forward to in the not too distant future. Coming up soon, we're due a layout update, and then I've been working on some longer projects that I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get the videos out to share with you fairly soon. So lots of exciting things to come on the channel in the near future. But thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next video, and bye for now.